Toho Studios' Godzilla was born out of the real-life nuclear hell that Japan faced at the end of World War II. He was a walking metaphor for the destruction of the bombs. After the Showa era had ended, Godzilla made a return to film with the Return of Godzilla, or Godzilla 1985 as it's known here in the US. The film was only marginally successful in Japan, so Tomoyuki Tanaka decided to return to the Godzilla vs. Random Kaiju formula that had worked so well in the past. They then held a public contest to see what fans could write as far as scripts and enemies for the next movie. A dentist, Shinichiro Kobayashi, was the winner, coming up with the idea for Biollante, a kaiju created from the use of biotechnology. He had this to say on the creation of Biollante. The original idea was to find something that could match Godzilla's power and terror if we were going to bring him back. But simply letting the monsters fight each other had been done many times, and clearly there was a limit to it. So in order to bring back Godzilla properly, we had to create an opponent that can fight properly. If there was something equivalent to the terror of nuclear power, it must be the biotechnology with which human beings would manipulate life. Because it can be very dangerous if it goes the wrong way, ethically. That's where I found the connection, so the idea of a monster that was created by biotechnology was born. To keep the anti-nuclear theme that has run throughout the film's series, Kazuki Amori, the film's director, linked the creation of Biollante to Godzilla. Biollante is basically a genetically modified plant kaiju hybrid. A rose plant, to be more specific. The creature was made when Dr. Shiragami spliced the cells of Godzilla into a rose plant, which had already contained DNA from his deceased daughter. Biollante has two major forms, the rose form and its final form. Coming in at a height of 85 meters or almost 280 feet tall and weighing in at a massive 100,000 tons, we have the rose form, or flower beast form of Biollante. While in her flower form, she looks much more like a rose than Godzilla at this point. She is rooted to the ground in this form, yet she already possesses many of the attributes that we'll see later on in her final form. She has numerous constricting vines or tendrils, each with a mouth lined with numerous teeth that she can use to grasp or attack. She can also spit a radioactive sap with acid-like properties. In original drafts, she would even defeat Godzilla at the end using this radioactive acid sap. The rose form can disperse into spores to travel, and she does so when Godzilla relentlessly attacks her with his atomic breath. These spores are also said to be able to cause disturbances in electrical transmissions. She also has a glowing nucleus or yellowish red sac. It's thought that this organ emits energy, but nothing else is known about it, other than it's still present when she's in her plant beast form. Days after her first defeat to Godzilla, she returns in spore form and grows out of the ground as her plant beast form or final form. This time the kaiju is sporting even more of the Godzilla attributes than before. Having a head that is somewhat like a cross between Godzilla's head and a crocodile's, she is now towering at a height of 120 meters or almost 400 feet tall. And on top of that, she weighs in now at over 200,000 metric tons. She has all the powers of her other form along with this increased size and a huge mouth lined with teeth. On top of the size upgrades, the kaiju is now mobile and can move freely. At the film's climax, Biollante was critically wounded when Godzilla unleashed an atomic breath inside of her mouth, but she does escape in spore form. As an added bonus, it's speculated that Biollante may be responsible for the creation of none other than Space Godzilla. It's theorized that some of Biollante's cells entered a black hole and were exposed to energy from supernovas and then merged with crystalline organisms, rapidly evolving into Space Godzilla. It's also speculated that Mothra may have carried Godzilla cells into space, causing Space Godzilla to be born, yet neither idea is totally proven. I would note that both Space Godzilla and Biollante do share some physical traits like the tusks on the side of their mouth, the rows of teeth in that mouth, and the ability to burst into spores upon death or defeat. Biollante was also the first of the Heisei Kaiju to have many forms, a trend we would see continue throughout the era. The plant-based kaiju went through many design changes, as you can see here in some of the concept art. Shinji Nishikawa's original design had a 4-part mouth which was approved by Koichi Kawakita, but the producers decided later on to change it. They thought the mouth should look more like that of a reptile. There was even a concept where the final form had a more human face to it, while another idea had the final form with flower petals that resembled the wings of Mothra. So what do you guys think of Biollante? I'll admit, when I was growing up as a child of the Godzilla show era, when Godzilla vs. Biollante first came out, I was so disappointed. I had waited for years for the Big G to finally return, and he's fighting a flower. Finally, years later, I rewatched the film and understood what a masterpiece of a Godzilla film it really is. In the end, I guess you could say she grew on me, much like she did with many other G fans. I'd love to hear your comments and questions on Biollante down below. And as always, I'd like to thank you for all your comments, shares, likes, and subscriptions. Take care, everybody, and I hope to see you next time.